What's going on, everyone? Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma. They were both two extremely young players on the Los Angeles Lakers, both with a ton of promise. And Brandon Ingram ended up being the odd man out in the Anthony Davis trade. But the Anthony Davis trade led to a 2020 NBA championship. And the reason we're talking about him today is because a debate has been started in regards to these two players and which one was the proper choice for the 2020 NBA Finals. The big question is, could the Lakers have still won the 2020 NBA championship if they had Brandon Ingram over Kyle Kuzma? I mean, obviously they won it with Kuz, so we know that Kuz worked with that team, but many people question if Brandon Ingram would have been the same thing. A lot of people, myself included, would have kind of rather preferred Brandon Ingram staying in LA. And many people question how hard the Lakers actually tried to keep Brandon Ingram in those trade negotiations. Although Kyle Kuzma was the more natural fit with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, again, people wanted Brandon Ingram to stay, myself included. I just think Brandon Ingram is the better player. But this whole thing got started and sparked because of Draymond Green. Over on Draymond Green's podcast, he recently had Kyle Kuzma, and Draymond said, "I'm not sure the Lakers win in 2020 if they keep Brandon Ingram over you." And this is the big question that is now starting to make its ways around. So I wanted to talk about it and break it down here on this channel. And of course, hear your thoughts and opinions. So join the discussion down in the comments below. But right off the bat, again, Kyle Kuzma, he's the most natural fit. He's a guy that could play off the ball. He didn't really need the ball in his hands. He was a solid defender. He was also older, played several years in college rather than, a one-and-done type player. So he had the experience. He had some size still. Both were very sizable players. And Kuz was really a key cog in that 2020 championship team. I mean, he hit some big shots in the bubble. He was a guy that was knocking down threes, playing defense, worked with LeBron really well. And he was a guy that, again, he was able to play off the ball. LeBron was the point guard. The ball was in LeBron's hands, 90% of the time. And Anthony Davis was sort of that number one option, especially in the bubble. He was an absolute monster in the bubble, right? Playing at an MVP style level. Many people were like, this is why the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis. That top 3 to top 5 guy that could do everything, that hitting game winners and block shots. And you needed those complementary pieces, the Alex Carusos, the Kyle Kuzmas, the guys that can do the dirty work for you, but also, hit big shots, score, be consistent. Although Kuzma at times was very inconsistent, he was a lot more consistent in the bubble, which I think really helped. But a big question with Kuz was even the following year before he ends up getting traded was like, how consistent can he be? Like, we need him to be more consistent, because you'd see a game where he'd score 30 and the next game he'd have like 3 points and he'd be like 1 for 10. And it's just like, man, we need some consistency with him. Kyle Kuzma was never going to be a star. He was never going to be a guy that could lead the charge, lead your team. He was always very likely going to be a role player. Now, he is a great scorer. He is a guy that can put the ball in the hoop. I mean, he's still doing that with the Washington Wizards. He's a guy that consistently could give you, 15 to 20 a game, maybe a little more. He's still young enough to where he's likely going to continue to improve. And many people were upset that they traded Kyle Kuzma in the Russell Westbrook deal because he was such a huge component on that championship team. And many people are upset that the Lakers broke up that championship team, right? KCP, Kyle Kuzma, even the year before, the year after they won the championship, they went and got Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder. They upgraded certain positions, and many people were like, "Yeah, that's great." Like, hindsight is always 2020. Because I even see comments even to this day where people are like, they never should have done those things. But Rob Pelinka was being praised by execs, by the league, by everybody over those moves, over upgrading that team. And many people thought, man, the Lakers just won the championship, upgraded the roster, got better, and are the favorites to win again. And to be fair, we were very likely an Anthony Davis injury away from probably beating the Suns and being in the NBA Finals. Now, could we have beaten the Bucks? Who knows? But Anthony Davis, LeBron, plus their core guys. You still had Kuzma on the team at that time. You had Alex Caruso still on the team at that time. All of those pieces, Dennis Schroeder, it was a big question, but still, there was a lot of guys that many believe could have won another championship had we gotten there. We were up 2-1 on the Suns. It looked like we were going to go up 3-1. The Suns had absolutely no answer for Anthony Davis, right? LeBron's making Jay Crowder look like his kid. He's out there just bullying him. And then Anthony Davis goes down and everything changes. And then we see the big blow up. They let Alex Caruso go. They trade KCP and Kuzma and Harold and end up getting Russell Westbrook. And it's just like people were like, why? Like, what was the point? And it turned out to be an absolute disaster. So that doesn't help the conversation and argument. And many people wish that Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, even KCP were still on this roster because they were all guys that the Lakers really needed last season, and you can make an argument need this season, right? Those big wings like Kyle Kuzma that can play defense, hit the three ball. He seemed a lot more consistent last year than before, and that was a big question. But Kyle Kuzma was the perfect fit, in my opinion, for the Lakers to win the 2020 NBA championship. Now, if they had Brandon Ingram, I still believe the Lakers would have won that championship, because it's not like Kyle Kuzma was like this dominant force. He wasn't, Carmelo Anthony or Paul Pierce in their primes. Like, he was their third option, in many cases their fourth option. KCP was really big for them too. And Brandon Ingram likely created a different element, still had the size to play defense, stuff like that. But Brandon Ingram, I love Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram is no doubt the better player between the two. And just Brandon Ingram, the sky's still very much the limit for him in many ways. He's still going to continue to improve. He's the kind of the guy on the Pelicans, because Zion, we don't even know if he could stay healthy and play a season. McCollum's like the ultimate too. So a lot of the Pelicans' success rests on Brandon Ingram. That wouldn't have been the case with the Lakers. So who knows how good Brandon Ingram would have been with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Now, from a future standpoint, yes, I wish that they would have kept Brandon Ingram. That's why earlier in the video when I was like, yeah, I'm one of the people that wanted them to keep Brandon Ingram, because I still, like in hindsight, I still thought Brandon Ingram, they still would have won the championship with Brandon Ingram, but you have that key component that could develop into like that number 2 or number 1 option for the Lakers next to Anthony Davis, especially as LeBron gets older. LeBron could kind of become the point guard, play the Magic Johnson role more, stuff like that. And then post LeBron, you still have Brandon Ingram, and Anthony Davis would still be young enough to where you could make some noise, right? You could go get some other pieces, things like that. Like, I really like Brandon Ingram's game. I was so stoked when the Lakers ended up drafting him, but I understand why they traded him, and the trade worked, right? I mean, that year they won the championship. So I know a lot of people feel like the Lakers gave up too much, but you won a championship. There was no guarantee that any of the young guys were going to lead you to a championship. Like, would they have been fun to watch? Would it have been cool to kind of see them grow and develop and see what they could have became? Absolutely. But even right now, to this very day, none of these guys are leading their teams to championships. Kyle Kuzma and the Wizards, they weren't even in the playoffs. Brandon Ingram, their team was, in the play-in and stuff. Now, I do think they're going to be a lot better next season because you'll get a full season with CJ. Zion hopefully can be healthy. I definitely like the Pelicans team, but Brandon Ingram isn't at that level yet to where he can carry the load and be that guy that like, oh, wow, the Pelicans are a legit contender. Could he be? Absolutely. He's still very young. But I think Brandon Ingram, the issue is fit. Like, the reason they traded Ingram over Kyle Kuzma is solely fit. Because they knew Brandon Ingram, he needs the ball in his hands. He needs to have the ball to be able to create and get off the dribble. He wasn't a great shooter at the time that they made the trade. He's improved tremendously, but there were a lot of questions with his shot, especially his three-point shooting. Even free throws were kind of an issue for him. Now he's improved a lot, but a lot of that could be because he went from the Lakers to, being on the Pelicans, so the pressure isn't as high. He kind of gets to develop more. and he really stepped and embraced that role, which many people wanted to see him with the Lakers. But again, you won a championship, right? So you can't be too upset over it. And as much as I would have loved the Lakers to keep Brandon Ingram in that deal, because that's kind of what it boiled down to, Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma. The Lakers decided to keep Kyle Kuzma because fit. Like, that was the sole reason. I don't think the Lakers for a second thought, oh, Kyle Kuzma's better than Brandon Ingram or has the potential to be better than Brandon Ingram or upside or anything. I think it was just like Kyle Kuzma doesn't need the ball to be effective. He's a better shooter. And Brandon Ingram, he's going to take time to develop and grow and become that go-to guy. But he would have definitely added another element that maybe we wouldn't have gotten. And I still think it could have worked. I still think that having Brandon Ingram would have helped, and they still would have very likely won the NBA Finals. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. So I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think of this great debate? Do you agree that, yeah, hey, Kyle Kuzma, he was the guy solely because of fit? Like, that's what it was. And, they won the championship, so it's, you got the proof in the pudding. But do you think that Brandon Ingram, the same result would have been the same result? Because I personally do. Like I said, I think that was just their year. It was the Kobe reign. I think that the time off helped, which it helped a lot of teams, because people always, question, oh, the bubble reign, this, that, and the other. Like, the Lakers were in the same position as everybody else. It's not like the Lakers got an extra advantage or something like that, but they weren't banged up. They were able to be fresh, just like all the other teams that were there. So, but the difference is you had a dominant Anthony Davis and a LeBron James, which is arguably one of the, if not the best duos in the league, when healthy and in that dominant form. So I think that was the difference maker. But Kuzma was huge for them in many ways. And I still think Brandon Ingram would have been as well. I still think he would have been a key component. But, what are your thoughts on this debate? However you feel about it, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.